Hey, bulls and bears, back with another dose of economic reality. I hope you're doing well. Please give this video a like if you like what we talked about. Please help get this video some traction. Maybe some more people start watching, hopefully. Anyways, let's get right into it, folks. Back with another dose. You know, we've got news that I've got to report today that I almost can't believe. Maybe you'll believe it, maybe you won't. But let's get into the economic news here. First, let's talk about this. We've got the storms. The storms were devastating. Hurricane Helen, it did get downgraded, but the photos I've been seeing have been pretty amazing. But we're going to talk about the gross domestic product numbers, the cost of living, a lot of the usual stuff, and some of the not so usual stuff today, because there's some things I wanted to kind of integrate here into the economic / financial talk here. First of all, let's go to this family here. It's out of AP, and bring it up here, share this with you guys. Okay, first of all, Helen claims at least 40 lives as rescuers raced to free those trapped by the storm. Here's a picture of a family, and is this the happiest family you've ever seen walking through a flood? Is this for real? They're actually all smiling. He's close up in here. It's crazy. Walking through the flood, and this is Florida. I wouldn't be smiling. I'd be looking very miserable here. Dustin Holmes and his girlfriend and her children. Oh, okay, I see. Walking through flooded road while returning to their home after Hurricane Helen passed. And I mean, it was just devastating, folks. I mean, what's this going to do for the cost of lumber? All this devastation. How many homes destroyed? Sorry, I usually have this stuff pulled up, but tonight was getting very late. Didn't have much time. All right, let me just search it here. Sorry, usually I don't do this on camera, folks. Usually it's all brought up here. Hey, you're supposed to fill it in for me. You're supposed to. There you go. We know that Elena. 44 people, swath of destruction. Okay, nearly 4.5 million without power. All right. I thought I was going to try to get you some breaking news. Apparently, it's just so recent that it hasn't been calculated yet, but it's going to be in the billions of dollars. And the rebuilding materials, the cost of lumber, what's going to happen with all this? And is it going to be another inflationary force in the housing market? That's my point. Another inflationary force, unfortunately. Got this pulled up here, though. GDP, gross domestic product, what the economic experts quote as economic growth. This is just going to prove the point, folks, that it's all a big scam. Let's go back to 2020, third quarter, all the way to the left. What do we see? Massive GDP growth from the previous quarter. Why is this, folks? Because of the money creation, the stimmy checks that were handed out, cancellation of rent, cancellations of mortgages. People had a lot of money to spend for numerous reasons. One, they didn't have to pay a lot of their bills. And two, they had stimmy checks. And people got PPP loans and they were using it for all kinds of stuff, right? You know the story. But look at this. This was an enormous leap in what they call economic growth. But folks, it was money printed / spending growth. So why are they calling this growth? And look what's happened since then. It's basically been in the tank. The most recent quarter that we have numbers for, second quarter of this year. Look, not looking so good here. In fact, we had more growth up until the middle of 2021 than we've had in all the months since then. So this just shows you what a scam these economic numbers are. We're quoting GDP, which is based on spending. That could be government spending. That could be borrowed money, which it all is. Right? 35 trillion yet? Yeah, it's past 35 trillion, right? The debt numbers, folks. It is debt-driven growth. Right? Debt-driven growth. So when we see news headlines that say the economy grew, you know what's really happening. You know the real deal. You know the real story behind the numbers. It's a scam. So in other words, they can raise this number anytime, but they don't want to cause inflation to get worse because they know a lot of people are already struggling. Otherwise, you probably would have seen more rounds of stimmy checks just to maybe make people feel better. And maybe they could, buy some boats or something with that in November. But they're already throwing different incentives out there to get people to select them in November. We've got the student loan forgiveness being talked about. We've got the different taxes that are not going to be implemented or no longer being applied to different things with the right-wing candidate. And he says no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime. Right? So you see they're trying to buy support and who can offer the most freebies, basically, or throwing money at the people to try to get their support, right? Stock market, new all-time highs. And where does it stop is the question. I've told people here 1,000 times they're going to make this economy look as good as possible, especially this, going into the fourth quarter 2024. But is it the people's economy that looks good, or is it the Wall Street economy that looks good, right? There was a massive upwards revision of the savings rate. We saw the savings rate plunge, and a lot of people are asking questions. They're talking about it. Even Wall Street. Consumer income and savings rate revised massively higher for the last 2 years. Spending revised up too. Stunning numbers. So now they're trying to say that all the numbers they reported over the last 2 years were too low. We've seen these backwards revisions in the jobs numbers for a long time. But usually they would revise it downward the following month. Now they went back to the 2 years and revised it upwards, right? I told you before, I really don't believe a lot of the numbers that we see and that we're told. And are they trying to put this out there at this time to make people think that the economy is actually better than it really is? Here's the headline here, Wall Street. Consumer income and savings rate massively higher for the last 2 years. So basically, it's almost double of what it was reported before. So folks, I just don't believe it. When you look at the number of credit card holders that are maxed out, when you look at the debt levels, we're supposed to believe that people have all this extra savings. All right. If people had all this extra savings, why did we need to cancel rents back a few years ago? Why do we need to cancel foreclosures? And we've talked about this here many times. The housing bust in 2020 would have been twice as bad as 2008 if it weren't for those programs. Because so many people, even after one or two missed paychecks, they were in big, big trouble, right? That was a big eye-opener for a lot of people. That consumers, for the most part, are not doing as good as we're being told. Amid rising delinquency rates, auto lenders seek safe growth. And this is Ally Financial and also Capital One, some big auto lenders. And what they're saying is, disclosure of worsening delinquencies by Ally caused a noted analyst to ask if the situation was a canary in the coal mine. Delinquencies have been increasing among both banks and credit union auto lenders. Interest rate cuts alone will not solve the problem, right? That's what I've been saying here. The debt levels are at where they're at. Lower inflation or prices going up, but just more slowly. Debt with interest rate a half a point lower, maybe even a full point, depending on how the banks adjust to the Fed funds rate, it's not going to save people, right? You think a 22% interest card or credit card interest rate, then dropping to 21% is going to make that much of a difference to someone that's barely making the minimum payments? It's going to be too little, too late, folks. And the extra inflation that we're going to see out of here could be what finally brings this thing down. The question, the timing, right? If you look back at history, we know that something always comes out, something always happens to bring things to a halt, to bring the economy down, to bring in the correction. Ever since 2008, people have been waiting for the big correction, but it's been more and more more pumping up of the bubbles. I almost said bursting of the bubbles. It's been more pumping up of the bubbles. But see, now we're stuck with this inflation. And to me, and I've said this before, and for those of you that are tired of me talking about the black swan, you're in luck. because I'm tired of talking about it too. I've warned you enough. I've put all the things out there that I think are risks. And I think October is going to be a very big month. And if you look back historically, October is a very big month. A lot of red days and crashes and corrections happen in the month of October. And we're just a few days away. We're going to see what happens here in the next 30 days plus. And we'll see if I'm right. If I'm not right, you guys can laugh at me. You can make fun of me down in comments. You could say I was fear-mongering and a doom and gloomer. And I might even buy a shirt that says fear-monger, doom and gloomer. Who knows? Maybe you can give me a good phrase if I end up being wrong. But if I'm right, you got to come back and you got to give me some love down here in comments. You got to make sure you're subscribed. Actually, on that note, real quick, and then we'll move on to some other news. About 40% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. If you could please log in and give me a subscribe. If you're here, you're supporting me. I really appreciate it. If you could subscribe, that would be massive. I don't sit here and beg for money like some of these other YouTubers. Supposedly, there's stock market experts and they're, very knowledgeable about the markets. If they're that knowledgeable, why are they begging their viewers for money, right? I appreciate every tip, every support. It goes right back into the channel, or it'll go into investments that I share with you what I'm investing in. So I appreciate your support. But my thing is, I'm not begging people for money like some of these other. I saw a guy the other day, he's supposed to be a stock market expert. Every month, he's asking people, begging for money. It's it's insane, but that's what people are doing, and people give him money, Yeah, but if you support somebody, even if they're already a millionaire, maybe they're not, but even millionaires beg for money. And you always wonder about greed. You look at Warren Buffett, his age, he's got more than enough money to last him for the rest of his life. Look at his age and look at the money he's got. Obviously, he could just sit back and do nothing, but he still keeps investing. So to some people, it's just in their blood to make as much money as possible, even if you already have millions of dollars. So maybe, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe these content creators and YouTubers that are asking for money, maybe they're already rich and maybe they are successful, but it's the Warren Buffett thing where you just can't get enough money, even though you've got one of the richest people in the world and you're still asking for money, or in this case of Buffett, you're still investing, still trying to make more money. I think the same thing with Bezos. He's expanding his empire still. I would be on the beach somewhere. Maybe I'd be an alcoholic because I probably wouldn't want to do very much if I had that much money. Or maybe not. Maybe I'd, get the motivation to try to outdo the next billionaire, so that when you go to the party, you can say, oh, okay, hey, you can compare yourself to these other millionaires. Anyways, let's talk about housing real quick here. Multifamily completions just reached a 50-year high. We've heard for years there's lack of inventory. Asking rents just dropped to a 2-year low. New multifamily buildings are popping up across the country, satiating demand that has seen rents soaring in the most recent years. Annualized multifamily completions in August totaled 740,000 units. That's a 50-year high according to RealPage report. And that's up 79% year over year. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of construction here in San Diego, a lot of cranes in the skyline, building like crazy. Will it be enough? Will it be enough with the population growth and the huge influx of people that we've seen? We all know what that means, what's been happening with that. And will it continue, right? So a lot of things are going to hinge on what happens here in a little more than a month. And we could see a massive shift in one direction or another. Now, I've said here that these people that sit in the Oval Office, they don't have much control over the economy. It's all about the money. So here's the thing. No matter who wins, it still is about the money, right? If they do what they did in 2020, massive support thrown out to the people, freeze ups, whatever crisis happens next, they could create more inflation and prices could actually accelerate to the upside, combined with rate cuts and then more other inflationary forces, folks, could accelerate to the upside. And there's that port strike that's pending. I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, and maybe that's the event that we see every 10 years or so that brings the economy down, we'll have to just see and find out, folks. I think everybody here is prepared. You know my stance on it, so I'm not worried about people being prepared, so we're not going to harp on that too much. Speaking of rising costs here, headline here, burger prices are beefing up, beefing, amid a record low herd. Right, so less cows, less farms, more illnesses wiping out the herd, higher prices. Burger places still opening up though. Are they even using real meat anymore? Is it the impossible meat they're using? Are they lying to us when they say it's real meat? I don't trust anybody anymore. I've been reading way into the news here too much, folks, because I'm almost skeptical of anything now. We're supposed to believe that the savings rate now is about twice as high as it was previously, that it was all underreported for 2 years. And then other areas like the jobs numbers, they go back and say, no, we overreported it. Now we're revising this downward. How do we trust any of the numbers anymore? You know me, I love charts. I love showing you the data, bringing up the visual for you. But now with all these revisions, what do we believe, right? So sometimes the easiest way is just to look around at your surrounding, your friends, your family, people that you know. I happen to work in a financial industry, so I see this every day. I know for a fact that people are more stressed out than ever. I've been doing this for close to 15 years, working in finance. So comparing now, the last few years over the past 10 years before that, 10 plus years, people are way more stressed out now compared to before. The people that I deal with, right? But I do debt consolidation, loans, and stuff like that. Still working for the band, still kind of juggling this channel and doing kind of my own business on the side and other forms of income, putting out music, designing shirts, selling them on Amazon and different places. I try not to talk about it here. I don't want to cross promote different stuff here. I just want this to be about the news, my audience, myself, and the news, right? I don't want to promote a bunch of other stuff. I'm trying not to do any sponsors anymore because I noticed that people really didn't like that when I did that too much, because you already have the YouTube commercials. And then if I'm talking about something else, then that's basically another commercial you have to sit through. So if you notice, I really haven't done the sponsor thing. And I think a lot of you appreciate that. I actually saw more traffic since I stopped doing that. Of course, you're still going to see the YouTube ads, right? Nobody's going to do content and get paid zero. Otherwise, you're going to be losing time and money because you have to buy equipment. You take time out of your day to record these things. You compile the news. You have to edit. You have to upload. Right? Nobody's going to do it for zero or losing money, right? So you're still going to see ads, but I think you're going to be better off without the extra commercials in there. I was going to bring up a couple other things, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to put out reports this weekend, probably Saturday and Sunday, because there's a lot of other things I want to get into. But this report's already been going for a while, so I don't want to make it like a 30-minute video because some of you, I think most of you tune out after like 10 or 15 minutes. Real quick though, oil $68, gold $2,680, silver $31.92 to close out this week. I'm recording this on September 27th, folks. Bitcoin 66,000. XRP 59 cents, creeping up a little bit here, folks. You know what I think about XRP. I'm stacking that. I'm stacking silver. The two biggest things I'm stacking right now. Sold off some more of my stock positions. And if you want to get just a general gauge of where I'm at, I'm in, I would just have to put a quick number on. I don't have the exact numbers. The lowest I've ever been right now invested in the markets. I'm still in the markets. I still have lots of stocks, different ones. But the lowest I've ever been, I'd say I'm about 10% now in stocks, the other 90% liquid, cash, and equivalents, right? So I'm doing the Buffett thing, right? Waiting to see what happens. Could I be missing out on more upside in the stock market? Absolutely. We've seen record high after record high after record high. But again, the risks that I see coming up, not next year, just in the next 30 days, are massive. All the things I've been talking about here, we're about ready to see. We're about ready to see what happens, so, folks. So it's a couple days left till the end of the month. Make sure you're ready, prepared, and could get wild. Let me know what your comments are or your thoughts are down in comments. And thank you for coming here, checking this video out, supporting me again. Thank you very much for all of you that come here. Even if you're not subscribed, thank you for watching here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, everybody. We'll talk to you very soon. Catch me this weekend. Make sure you subscribe and come back for more updates. We'll talk to everybody very soon. Keep stacking. Bye for now.